Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from Your Overwatch. I'm Eddie the Chump and today we're going to be talking about the future of Overwatch and how with the upcoming Season 11 there's actually quite a few reasons to be excited. The first thing that we're going to be talking about today is the LFG update, which if we had to guess will actually go live on Tuesday. It doesn't make much sense for it to go live after placement matches have started in a new season, so we expect it before then. The impact that this system could have is massive. We do absolutely share Blizzard's vision for Overwatch being a much better experience when playing in teams. The best thing about LFG is that it will let you sidestep a lot of the issues the matchmaker creates. Things like uneven comps, toxicity, one-tricking, etc. Just having the choice to not have to engage with the game in that way really is genuinely new, and hopefully it changes the culture of ranked a significant amount. Plus, one of the biggest drawbacks to grouping up in the past was the long queue times. Hopefully after LFG, there's going to be many more groups at each rank, so we won't have to wait as long to play each other. If players play in groups more often, specifically ones where the roles are somewhat predetermined, there's none of that awkward waiting for everyone to choose their hero at the select screen. No more having to play with hero X because that player only plays that. Groups naturally remove all the pitfalls of the lottery feeling that solo queue can have. Players are much less likely to stubbornly pick something and play selfishly, as if they did, they wouldn't last long in their group. More than that, the accumulative effect is that players will get more used to playing the game and not just their tiny sixth of it independent of everything else. That really would be a major culture shift, and it's a good thing that the tools will soon be in place for people to take advantage of them if they want. Matchmaking still won't be perfect, but if LFG really becomes a thing, a lot of its problems can be circumvented. Another way that Season 11 will change how we play the game is the very likely imminent introduction of a new hero and the considerable reworks of existing ones like Sim and the as of yet unseen newest version of Sombra. Hero 28 is very close. There was actually a background download this week, one of those it'll be ready straight away for patch day ones. Now that was for the live server, there's no way Hero 28 is going to go straight there. What I predict will happen is that the new Symettra will go live on Tuesday and new Sombra will go to the PTR on Thursday, with Hero 28 following quite quickly after. If we look at the previous Hero release dates, both Ana and Doomfist were released in July of their respective years. Doomfist was released on the 27th of last year, but he went to the PTR about 2 weeks before that, so that's mid-July. If Blizzard keep to that schedule, which they have done for every other Hero release, Hero 28 might go to the PTR 2 weeks after the season starts on July 1st. If you think about it, this is almost like saying there's 3 new heroes coming in the next month. The Sim rework is significant, her being able to ramp up her damage off shields, as well as effectively not having to use ammo while doing that, is going to pose tank players new questions, as are the new turrets. She's already a good answer to slow ground-based comps like Ryan Zarya with no Lucio on the right maps. You know, the Season 10 unofficial meta. She's going to arguably be even stronger in her new form. I think a lot of people's dissatisfaction with Season 10 was because they felt pigeonholed into playing a very narrow set of heroes. Well, the new Sim might really throw a wrench into that orthodoxy, and the game will become much more dynamic for that. One thing to consider about the new Sim is that the PTR isn't really an effective testing ground to determine how a hero will actually perform. Only when the rubber hits the road in competitive do we find things out like Brigitte's rally armor is a bit too strong, or Hanzo's storm arrow is a bit overtuned. The same is going to happen with Sim, a good example being her new ultimate. We'll all find out exactly how good it is when all of our SR is on the line. Sombra is a different case. We don't know much about what's happening with her. We had a brief period where she was very strong. The community, especially the pros, didn't like that, so she was nerfed again, and now hardly anyone uses her. Her changes are significant according to Jeff, so there's even more potential for deeper effects on the game long term with her. Surely the first thing they'll try to do is take care of the long list of bugs she has. Her hack has some funny line of sight interactions since it was nerfed. If I were a Sombra player, I'd expect that to get resolved as a bare minimum. Going back to Hero 28 for a tiny bit, moving forward, Blizzard will be making all new content, heroes included, available in competitive 2 weeks after their initial release. The dreaded wait a whole season for Brigitte to arrive in ranked scenario is thankfully not going to be happening again. Can I just say that is a huge relief? We really felt that delaying a hero like that hugely impaired the momentum and excitement the community felt for Brigitte, and I'm really happy they aren't doing that again. Overwatch lives and breathes on that hype, and a new hero is easily the most significant form of new content the game has. There shouldn't be arbitrary barriers of access to it in the name of ranked integrity. Up until this point, the words ranked and integrity didn't belong in the same sentence very often, so thank you Blizzard for seeing the light on that. All of this new content and new ways to play is fantastic, and does represent a good reason to be optimistic about the future. But, and there is a but, it doesn't fix absolutely everything. I'd like to follow up a bit on the video we made concerning Scott Mercer's post about groups, solo players, and how the matchmaker decides SR gain and loss. A lot of people are praising the fact that Blizzard tunes their matchmaker to find matches that get as close to 50% win rate for us to play in, and a part of how it does that is by keeping solos and groups largely separate. But to me, doing this confuses what roles the matchmaker and the SR system are supposed to have. The matchmaker should just be about finding people of similar SR with good connections for your lobby. The SR system should be what determines what's fair and what isn't. When the matchmaker is also doing these party size lobby adjustments, on top of just finding players of a similar level, it's distorting the picture, and that creates real problems. For example, if you have a match where two teams of 6 play each other at 3300, and you have a match where 12 individual players at 3300 play, the SR would tell you that the level should be pretty even, but they won't be in all likelihood. The match between the two group teams would probably be of a much higher quality, which means that the ranks mean totally different things in each context and yet have the same rating. That's an issue. If you matchmake with the end goal being a 50% win rate, but you also manipulate based on group size, as different groups have different average win rates, you're robbing the SR system of doing its job properly, and as a knock-on effect of that, the ranks themselves become less accurate and fair. If that were not the case, and the ranks were accurate, the games would already be fair inherently, as you'd 100% know where you stood when a diamond played against a diamond or a plat played against plats. But on the topic of fairness, let's say currently in solo queue you have a 50% chance to win most matches. Well, you also have a 50% chance of having a thrower on one side or another. The fairness of a 50% chance to have the thrower or not is not playing Overwatch. For those of us who do actually want to play the game, learn and progress, being sheltered in this way is counterproductive, and it really falls at our feet to express that we don't want or need all these manipulations. Actual competition isn't fair in a lot of ways, but ELO systems are designed to handle all different kinds of matches, even or uneven, and adjust accordingly, so your actual rank, the thing that really matters, is as fair a reflection of your level as possible. Would you prefer that 50% chance to win, or a greater chance to have a competitive match where the level of play at any given rank was understood by all the players in the match, which they would do irrespective of party size if the ranks were truly accurate? This idea that fairness, as it applies to your likelihood to win, somehow solves all problems is kind of false. Would most players not prefer to have an even set of roles on your team, even if you technically were the underdog statistically? In a sport, it's much more important to have the right role distribution. What would be the point of having a match between two football teams full of goalkeepers? Sure, the win rate chance between the two teams in that horror show would likely be 50%, but it's not really a game of football, is it? Rather than tunnel visioning in on win rate fairness, we should be focused on match quality. A functional ELO or SR system would completely take care of the rest. Also, side note, being an underdog actually has a serious upside, which is the opposite of the perception. When people think about being unfavored to win, they imagine being stomped over and over, and they see that as highly undesirable. That is obviously understandable, but it's actually a distortion of how these systems work traditionally. When you're trying to play a competitive ranked game, being the underdog is objectively a good thing, because if you're trying to rank up, winning matches where you are unfavored gets you up the ranks much faster. You also lose much less, so you've actually got nothing to lose and much more to gain in these contexts. In fact, the entire SR system is supposed to be able to handle unfair matches by design, which does make it hard to understand why Blizzard are so protective of players who by their own statistics are only about a 9% disadvantage when solo against a full group. What that does do is shelter people's short-term expectations. I should be able to do whatever I want and be in an even match. That's why for the longest time, one-tricking was even viable. One-tricking, objectively speaking, is not a good Overwatch strategy. The game has counters for pretty much any hero, so staying on one thing stubbornly should lose you games. But by not putting those players against people playing the actual game, like groups, more than once in 1,150 games, that one trick never has to swap. they can actually coast by because the matches are all essentially lotteries. Now, being in a lottery is certainly fair by some measures. Everyone has an equal chance of lucking out in either direction, but that doesn't mean it's good for anyone. If solo players didn't avoid groups, they would have to learn the tactics and game principles that groups use, and your solo queue matches would actually be better as a result, not worse. Everybody knows when a stack is on the other team, it's really time to try. Remember, in that scenario, if you win and you're unfavored, you're gonna rake in the SR. This is partly why LFG could mean so much for the game. The mode of playing Overwatch Ranked has a real opportunity to change, because if people really do embrace it, LFG can soft fix a lot of these problems. It's for certain how I'm going to be spending my playtime. Season 11 carries with it a lot of reasons to be excited. New heroes, new ways of playing. It could end up being a watershed moment for the game. I'm going to be optimistic and stick my neck out. I think it will be a season unlike any other, and I think it will be great. Let me know if you're as excited as I am, and what's the one thing you're most looking forward to. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to leave a rating. If you never want to miss another video of ours again, please click the bell icon next to the subscribe button on our channel to join the notification squad. You'll be in great company. And finally, please follow the Your Overwatch Twitter. It's where you can find updates about new videos and other cool stuff. I've been Eddie the Chump, and until next time.